Yeah, so this is the next principle in the solid principle acronym, solid design principle in acronym used widely in software designs and while working on the architecture. So the second principle in solid, the O stands for the OCP, the open closed principle. So if we to start things off, let's take a look at what OCP means. Essentially, the OCP states that a software module or class should be open for extension but closed for modification. In other words, you should be able to extend the behavior of module or class without changing its source code. So what it is trying to say, suppose you are a class, you have a class, right? So it should not be the case that you for new changes you have to change the source code of this class or module, right, again and again, even in first for the first time. So it should be closed for any modification. And if you want to add some new feature to this class, what you have to do, you have to extend this class so that you will get the existing functionality that this class A have, and in B you will modify that functionality, or you will add some of the new functionality. So it's hard to achieve, but you have to do like as much as possible. And so it's like this solid design principles are mostly in favor of the OOPS concept. So that's why the interface, you have heard the word interface in like OOPS programming, right? So the interface of a modular class is the public API that other code use to interact with it, right? And the implementation is the internal logic that the modular class uses to carry out its function. Cool. By designing a modular class with a well-defined interface and a modular implementation, we can create software that is both flexible and maintainable. So I just spit out some of the uh, some of the bookish word, right? Which is like too much mainframe. So yeah, let's turn around the main definition. A software artifact should be open for extension but closed for modification. As I mentioned in this example, your class should not be adhere any new modification for changes. Instead, what should it do? If you want to modify, add some new features, or like change some of the responsibility of the class, you should extend it for the changes. To achieve this, you will mainly have to play with the one of those principles concept of interface. So you will create an interface, right? And all the other modules will extend that interface, right, to adhere the new feature. And this book has some good example which I want to go through once. And it is saying the good software architecture, right? How should it look like? The ideal goal of it is the changed code to be like the modification in existing code should be barest minimum, ideally zero, but we cannot go to the ideal scenario in any domain. So yeah, so this example it's saying that is you have a financial data, and you have a financial analyzer, and you have financial report data, and you have to show that data in a web application and simply print the same data. So how you are going to work on this architecture so that you adhere the OCP principles, right? So by going through even this is the like let me walk you through some thought of experiment with a random example, classical example. So you have heard about the shape class, right? Shape class, what shape class does? It is a class that stores the information of shape, and it will calculate the area of that shape. Correct. So like you want to add a new type of shape. Let's suppose a triangle to our program. One way is to the modify, and you can add the function method of create triangle area, right? Something like that, and you will create the area of triangle. But it will become a little bit messy when you have to add more shape into this class, right? Then what you have to do, you will create a shape interface with the common methods that you want, right? For example, the calculate area. So that will be the common method, and any new shape that you want to add into your logic. This is closed for modification, right? This shape interface, and now you are extending the new shapes from the shape interface, and you can write your own logic of the shape. So this is the OCP, that OCP principle. Which will help you to write a more extensible code and more maintainable code. So any principle you are learning, it is helping you in the fourth thing, making your code more extensible. Let me write with my right hand, extensible, and then the other part is more modular. Modular extensible is kind of same thing. Maintainable, that is our goal. That's why we work with the design principles. And the other is readable, and you have to use this word pretty handy in. So now coming to the question, what will happen if you don't follow these principles, right? The OCP principles. So your code will become less modular. First, if you don't design your code to be open for extension and closed for modification, it will be difficult to add new feature or change existing behavior without affecting the other part of the code base. So what will happen if you are changing the existing class, right? With modification, new modification. So it will going to affect some other part of the code, which should be not be the case, and it is hard to the catch, and your program will become more error prone. So let me route down some of the uh, side effect if you don't follow OCP. Your code become less modular. You will not able to use the same code again and again. Your duplicity will increase in code. And the second point is code become harder to test. Code become harder to test, and readability will decrease. So code become harder to reason about. Right, your understanding will decrease, and again it will affect on scalability, right? And these are the like I'm coming on the fourth aspect again. So these principles, the solid principle or any design principle in software, are built through experience, like working on lots of project and failing drastically in the project. So these are the learning that they get over the experience, like they learn from their experience. And this principle will, I know, like it totally makes sense to, if you're working alone in project, it totally makes sense to write code quickly, because following this principle is time consuming, coming up with a class diagram and maintaining. And where when you are like in your early phase of your software development career, you just want to rush into it. You don't think you always spectacle about is it worthwhile to use any design principle to put is it worthwhile to put such a bandwidth, such amount of time to on the design. But believe me, it will make sense while you're working on the team, and it is more your code base will be more maintainable, easy to understand. Even you can work on your code base with less number of headcounts. But so like this discussion will keep going, but the point is OCP is what we discussed, open close principle, and it's highly used in good architecture. Okay, that's it for today. Bye.